Happy Friday, everybody. I'm Dr. Peter Glidden, your friendly neighborhood naturopathic physician, talking to you today about all things holistic. Why the best thing that you can do for your health is to fire your MD immediately and only use the services of anybody with an MD after their name if you have an acute health condition. You're bleeding to death, have a broken leg, something like that. That's what their expertise is in. For chronic disease, their philosophy of treatment, which is referred to as allopathic reductionism, it just doesn't work. This is why their therapeutics are the leading cause of death. This is why their therapeutics have failed after $1 trillion of research to find any productive thing, any type of intervention for cancer. We've lost the war on cancer thanks to the MDs. Autism is skyrocketing, Alzheimer's is skyrocketing, type 2 diabetes is skyrocketing, obesity is skyrocketing. It's got nothing to do with the big gulp in New York City, trust me. Chronic disease is accelerating, and the leading cause of bankruptcy is medical bills, medical treatments. So why on earth would anybody go to an MD? Because they're going to bankrupt you and then they're going to kill you. The leading cause of death in the United States are treatments developed by MDs. And yet we sing their praises all the time. Where we have Stockholm Syndrome. I believe that's what we've got, Stockholm Syndrome. Stockholm Syndrome is when the kidnapped person develops feelings of compassion and empathy for the kidnapper. They actually start to like the person holding the gun to their head. That's what we're like in our relationship to MDs, but really in our own defense. So another big reason that we continue to use these people is because we do not know that there is a valid, science-based, clinically verified alternative offered by a physician. We've been brainwashed here in the United States for the last 100 years to believe in two gigantic myths. Talk about Mythbusters. Why doesn't Mythbusters do a show on this? Myth number one, the MD is the owner of everything medical and everybody else is a back-of-the-bus, dangerous alternative quack. It's exactly the opposite. The only people selling snake oil in the United States, the only people profiting from dangerous, ineffective medical treatments have MD after their name. Medical myth number two, healing is a sophisticated, complicated process that should only be attempted in high-tech, multi-million-dollar facilities. Guess what? That ain't true either. Healing is easy. Surgery is complicated, but healing is easy. It's easier than falling off a potato truck. To support and promote the health of your heart, support and promote the health of your bones, support and promote the health of your joints, support and promote the health of your blood sugar, support and promote the health of your skin or whatever. Because the fundamental sticking point in the holistic methodology is the belief that the human body is endowed with a God-given ability to fix itself. Your body has something called a vital force. Your body has wisdom. Your body wants to fix itself. Your body is smarter than an MD. Your body is smarter than a CT scan. Your body is smarter than any diagnostic test any physician could dream up anywhere. Most of the time, all that your body needs in order to fix itself is the raw materials necessary to fix itself. The problem is, in this country, we've also been fed the false bill of goods, the false notion that it is possible to get all of the nutrients the body needs to fix itself from eating from the 4 food groups. You can't. That's impossible. That's a fool's errand. And if you do not consciously supplement your diet with good, high-quality, absorbable, bioavailable nutrients, broad spectrum, 90 essential nutrients, 60 minerals, 16 vitamins, 12 amino acids, 2 essential fatty acids, if you do not do that with supplementation actively, aggressively, every day, the same way you take a shower every day, the same way you eat meals every day, the same way you drink water every day, if you do not supplement every day, it's only a matter of time until your body runs out of something, something breaks, and then you go to a knucklehead MD and he tells you it's genetic and throws a synthetic drug at it and it kills you. And then your relatives all get together and in their fit of mourning, they where you drum up large sums of money to research the cause of your condition, and it's nonsense. The Susan G. Komen women, do 5K runs all over this country all the time to find the cure for breast cancer, when the simple solution would be just have every girl in the United States take 1 200 microgram capsule of the mineral selenium in the form of selenomethionine every day, because a report published in the Journal of the American Medical Association in 1998 by Larry Clark showed that selenium supplementation reduced the occurrence of breast cancer 82%. Well, why didn't someone take that ball and run with it? Why didn't someone follow that research up? 82%, that's huge. Didn't only do that for cancer, did that for prostate cancer, 69%. Breast cancer did it for prostate cancer, 69%. Colon cancer, 64%. Lung cancer, 39%. For goodness sake, even if you were a smoker, selenium supplementation reduced the occurrence of lung cancer by 39%. Now, you would think that if medicine in the United States was results-oriented, somebody would have taken that ball and run with it. But they didn't. Why? Because selenium is a naturally occurring substance, and you cannot patent a naturally occurring substance. You can't go to Washington, D.C. and patent oxygen. You can't patent buttercups or orange juice or selenium. So why on earth would you do $40 or $50 or $60 million of research to prove that buttercups cure brain cancer, when after you did that, anybody and their brother could make the buttercup medicine? Well, guess what? You wouldn't. That's why it's not done. That's why it wasn't done. Quite frankly, I'm surprised that this article got published in the first place. Medicine in the United States is not results-oriented. It is profits-oriented, period. It's the only reason they still disseminate chemotherapy. It's the only reason they still do half of the things that they do. And by the way, here's something else that gets my goat. Medical doctors all of the time will puff themselves up and huff and puff and get up on their high horse and say, well, with medicine, it's all about the double-blind test. That's the gold standard. It's all about clinical proof. It's all about the double-blind this and the double-blind that, and let's publish it in peer-reviewed medical journals. That's supposed to be the gold standard, right? Well, guess what? A medical doctor will tell you on one hand that there's no research to support and promote anything having to do with vitamins or nutrition, and that's just wrong. There are thousands of research articles published every year proving the benefits of vitamins, minerals, nutritional supplements, botanical medicines. They're published all the time. Saying that there's no research to support the clinical use of medical nutrition or botanical medicine is like saying that the sun doesn't rise in the east. It's just nonsense. It's a lie. It's a blatant, outright lie, number one. And number two, they'll tell you, oh, those holistic doctors, they don't do anything that's clinically proven. Well, yes, we do. Everything that we do is clinically proven, or the majority of the stuff that we do is. Then they'll tell you that, oh, you have to huff and puff and double-blind this and double-blind that, when in fact, between 20 and 60% of the time, arguably this is a hard statistic to nail down, but between 20 and 60% of the time, MDs do something called off-label prescribing, where they'll prescribe somebody for insomnia a blood pressure medicine, or they'll prescribe somebody for depression an anti-anxiety medicine, or they'll prescribe somebody who has abdominal pain blood pressure medicine, a medicine that's completely unproven through the huff and puff double-blind gold standard to have anything to do with that condition at all. And why do they do that? It's their clinical experience. So they get to have clinical experience, but nobody else does. They're hypocrites, and they're liars, and they're dangerous. Taking your body to an MD for anything other than a chronic, an acute health condition is a fool's errand. Reductionism is best suited for surgery. And by the way, the stuff they're doing in the surgical theater is just this side of miraculous. Man, when surgery is indicated, the stuff they can do with surgery is awesome. They're to be applauded for that. The stuff they're doing now with trauma care is awesome. They're to be applauded for that. If they're not addicted to prescription drugs, street drugs, or alcohol, as Harvard University reports, 51% of emergency room doctors are. You know, as long as they're not gorked out of their minds on alcohol, prescription drugs, or street drugs, they do a good job. But for everything else, they fail. Not only do their therapies fail to cure anything, but they're the leading cause of death in the United States. And we go to them. We get down on our knees and genuflect. The guy or the girl with the white coat could tell you to jump off the roof of the hospital in order to take care of your diabetes, and you would do it. You do whatever the doctor says. Oh, I have to ask my doctor about those vitamins. Oh, I'm skeptical, Dr. Glidden, about your vitamins. Oh, I have to ask my doctor about those. Well, really? You're not skeptical. If you were skeptical, you never would have taken the prescription medicine in the first place, because that's the stuff that kills you. 788,000 people last year died because they listened to their medical doctor. You know how many people died from vitamins? 0. You're not skeptical. You're a closed-minded conformist, for goodness sake. I'm calling a spade a spade. We need to have intellectual integrity. We need to have a conversation about stuff that's real, not a conversation about stuff that's profits-driven, it's pharmaceutical-driven. There's nothing wrong with drugs. I can prescribe drugs, for goodness sake. Drugs are like guns. It's how they're used. They're going to kill you or they're going to help you. It's no different with prescription medicines. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a health condition that you're suffering from, a chronic health condition, call me up. 866-582-9933. I'm going to drag you into the light of medical nutrition if it's the last thing I do. 866-582-9933. That's the direct number, toll free to this studio today. 866-582-9933. And if you would like somebody from my longevity team to assist you in finding the right products for you, or to show you how to become a member of our growing army of health care enthusiasts, call us at 855-347-3696. We're going to go right to the phones with Glenn, calling in from Texas with a question about cooking oil. How's it going, Glenn? You're live with Dr. Glidden. Glenn? Hello, Glenn. Come in, Glenn. Maybe Glenn's horse ran away. We don't know. Was Glenn on horseback? Was Glenn a roughneck oilman? We're never going to know. In the meantime, we're going to go to Robert from California. Robert, you're live with Dr. Glidden. Welcome aboard.
Thank you for taking my call. I was just calling in about my dad actually has osteoporosis, or severe osteoporosis they call it.
Yeah.
And he's already had one surgery on his back, and they want to schedule another one, and he doesn't really want to do it, and I was just calling to see what you think.
Well, I'll tell you what I know. Osteoporosis is a simple mineral deficiency. Your body is in the process of chewing up old bone and laying down new bone all the time. That's through a process with two types of cells. One, the cell that chews up old bone is called an osteoclast, and the cells that lay down new bone is called an osteoblast. So your body is chewing up old bone and laying down new bone all of the time. And in order to lay down new bone, the body needs raw materials, right? I mean, if you were trying to build a house and you had the carpenters and the blueprints and the equipment and the permits and the lumber and the nail guns, but no nails, you couldn't get anything built that day. Well, it's the same with your body. In order for your body to generate new bone, which it wants to do, it needs 90 essential nutrients. The lion's share of what the body needs to lay down new bone are sulfur-bearing molecules called glucosamine sulfate, chondroitin sulfate, high hyaluronic acid, and the minerals calcium, magnesium, silica, boron, and selenium. It needs a bunch of other things, but those are the major players. Now, if you don't have the major players in your blood, your body can't make new bone the same way that you can't make a house if you didn't have the nails for the nail gun. It's really that simple. But MDs, because of their ass-backwards, outdated, archaic, and dangerous philosophy and treatment strategies, have chosen, instead of medical nutrition, which is the simple fix for any type of a bone problem, they've chosen instead to develop a synthetic medicine, never existed before in nature, never existed before, a synthetic group of medicines called bisphosphonates. These are Boniva and Fosamax and other drugs in the bisphosphonate category. Now, what bisphosphonates do is they put the cells that chew up old bone to sleep. So guess what? When you take Fosamax or Boniva, old bone accumulates in your bone, which gives you a better bone density score the next time you get a DEXA bone scan, and oh, your doctor's so happy about that. But in reality, what happens after you have old bone piling up in your bone for more than 4 or 5 years, your bones start to snap like dry tinder, because there was a reason your body was trying to chew up the old bone in the first place, but because medical doctors do not believe in the wisdom of the body, because they believe they are in fact God and smarter than the body, their therapeutics screw up all of the time. Now, surgery cannot fix this problem. The best possible thing surgery can do is mitigate it. Taking a surgical procedure for osteoporosis is like painting over the mold in your basement, but the doctor who performed the surgery probably needed to put an addition on his house or put a pool in to his country house, and that's why they did the procedure. And I'm being serious here. Okay. I am not, I am exaggerating a little for dramatic effect, but if you saw what I saw goes on in the medical theater, you would be horrified. So rather than do reductionistic, allopathic, drug and surgical centrist treatment, all we do for osteoporosis is support and promote the bone and joint health. And so how do we do that? We do it with 1 healthy bone and joint pack, 1 bottle of plant-derived minerals, and 2 bottles of ultimate selenium per 100 pounds of body weight per month. That's 1 healthy bone and joint pack, 1 bottle of plant-derived minerals, and 2 bottles of ultimate selenium per 100 pounds of body weight per month. That's it. Plus, of course, everybody gets on the good food, bad food diet. There are 10 bad foods nobody should eat. You can download that list for free for your father at fireyourmdnow.com. Okay. So check that out. Have him stop eating those 10 foods, and just from doing that, he's going to feel better. Order those supplements for him. Get him taking those supplements, and he should feel a slow and steady, gradual improvement every 2 weeks. It's okay. Like watching ice melt in the springtime. Welcome aboard. You're live with Dr. Glidden.
Yes, thank you very much. I was concerned about what Dr. Wallach spoke about oils. It makes a lot of sense, and we should stay away from oils. But I did some reading on the enormous, and I'm sure you have yourself, the enormous benefits that come from eating organic or virgin coconut oil. And for him to dismiss that, it's kind of confusing to me.
That's a good point. It's a point that's well received, and that makes you the smartest man in class. All right. Now, there's a couple of problems in this regard, Glenn. Number one. Okay. And we have to take a step back and look at this objectively. Okay. Number one, you can go to the internet right now and find websites and people who still believe that the Earth is flat. And they've got all kinds of measurements and all kinds of documentation to prove their point. I mean, you can do that. The problem with medicine, as it's disseminated through the United States, is the Internet, because there's lots of misleading information that's available now at the click of a mouse, and really, who knows who informed the research, really who knows who did the research. I mean, there are all these variables that go into place, right? I mean, it's a big problem. The validity of research is a gigantic problem, even in major medical journals like the Journal of the American Medical Association and the Lancet, right? I'll give you for instance. The guy that published the research saying that Ritalin was an effective treatment for Alzheimer's disease, about 6 months after he published it, he was proven to be a fraud, and that he completely faked all of the data. I think they either threw him in jail or they yanked his license, but, there were consequences for that guy. But by that time, the horse had gotten out of the barn, and even though the journal published a retraction months later, everybody still believes that Ritalin is an effective treatment for Alzheimer's disease, even though the original research that supported it was completely rebuked and bunked. So, this stuff happens in major medical journals, so who's to say, really, whether or not this is valid or whether or not it's not valid? So, now, again, Dr. Wallach isn't God. However, he's very close. And I just want to tell you something. I've been doing this for 20 years, clinically. Actually, more than that. It's more like 24 years. And I've known Doc for 3 years. Every single solitary thing Dr. Wallach has said has come true. If I'm going to believe somebody in the field of medicine, and it's between a stranger, somebody I have no idea who they are or where they came from or really who funded their research or how it was carried out, or Dr. Wallach, I'm going to believe Dr. Wallach. No kidding. Because the stuff that I've seen Dr. Wallach make mistakes about, I've never seen the guy make a mistake ever. I mean, and that sounds like, I'm exaggerating. I'm not. I'm not exaggerating. So number one. Number two, the reason that Dr. Wallach doesn't like the use of olive oil is because of the oxidation factor. Now, when you drink half a bottle of wine and leave it on the table overnight uncorked, it turns into vinegar, right? You cut an apple in half and leave it on the tabletop. The skin turns brown and it oxidizes. Iron turns to rust because of oxidative damage. Well, oil in a bottle will oxidize over time, and when you heat with an oil, it oxidizes much, much faster. Now, of all of the oils that there are, coconut oil oxidizes the slowest, and it does, but it still oxidizes. So, Dr. Wallach makes a sweeping recommendation to avoid all oils because people aren't as smart as you. Really, they're just not. We're speaking to hundreds of thousands of people all of the time. So is it possible to consume coconut oil in a healthy fashion? Yeah, it's probably possible to do that. It's not easy to do that. You could probably do it. But you don't need to do it. And really, it's kind of like you're playing with fire. And also what you need to keep in mind, and this is an interesting point to ponder, right? In the animal kingdom, when we're doing research with animals, to, for instance, find out, whether coconut oil has a positive or a negative effect, what we do is we'll take 100 laboratory mice, and for a couple of weeks, or more likely a couple of months, we're going to feed those animals little alfalfa pellets that have all of the medical nutrition that their little bodies need, appropriate for their body weight. So by the time we actually start the study, those animals are as healthy as they can possibly be, and their systems, their central nervous system, their reproductive system, their digestive system, their skin, every part of their body is 100% nutrified and 100% healthy. Why? Because they've been taking a little vitamins and mineral and essential fatty acid supplement for 4, 5, 6 weeks. Those animals are 100% healthy. Now, when we have a healthy population of those animals, because they've been nutrified on purpose, then we'll divide them up into 2 control groups, the group and the control group. So we give the nutrified animals the oil, and the other half no oil, and then we compare the difference. When you do a study like that, you can draw logical, satisfactory, and realistic conclusions, true conclusions. But they never do that in any of these studies. Because remember, MDs and most people doing research are colorblind. They do not have any working understanding of medical nutrition. So when you're giving, coconut oil to a bunch of humans, and who are eating, some of whom are eating gluten, some of whom are eating foods that they're allergic to, and none of whom have all of the nutrients that their bodies need to support and promote the health of all the systems of the body, you cannot make any reasonable conclusions from that data because the data pool was corrupted a priori. The data pool was corrupted before you even did the experiment because you were colorblind and didn't know that you had to have a fundamental baseline of medical nutrition in place. Now, I hope I'm not talking over your head, and I hope you can understand this.
No, you're not. No, it's excellent. It's an excellent point. I never looked at it that way.
Yeah, so it makes sense, right? So look, it's possible, man, that you can get away with a little bit of coconut oil. You know, you could keep it in the refrigerator, you could put it in a bottle, and you could suck all of the air out of it after you use it every time. I mean, you could do that. It might not be a bad idea, but what we advise, you know, rather than go to all that trouble is just don't eat it. Use butter instead. Cook it on low heat. And make sure, most importantly, that you are securing the essential nutrients that your body needs. Because really, on a relative scale of things, right? I mean, if we're in Vietnam in the 1960s and we're fighting the Viet Cong, we need to be much more worried about the bullets that are flying at us than we need to be worried about the mosquitoes around us, right? Because the bullets are going to kill us immediately. Maybe the mosquitoes are going to get us, maybe not. It's way lower on the stress factor. So, you know, all things being equal, it is much more important to pay attention to securing the 90 essential nutrients every day appropriate for your body weight than it is to worry about which foods are harmful and which foods are not harmful. You know, so let experience be your guide here. Check it out. You know, what you could do, I guess, as an in-house experiment would be to, for 30 days, use coconut oil and see how you feel, and for 30 days, don't use coconut oil and see how you feel. And while you're doing that, all 60 days, make sure you have the 90 essential nutrients. Does that make sense?
Perfect.
All right, man.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, well, I'm here to help, right? So, and like the fella said, from the proper perspective, for goodness sakes, everything makes sense because there is a role for science here. There is a role for deductive reasoning and deductive logic when it's applied rationally, logically, not through a colorblind lens. Glenn, thank you for the call. We're going to go now to Michigan, I think, and Carrie. Carrie, thanks for the call.
Hey, thank you for having me.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'm going to be, well, I'm not going to be in Michigan. I'm going to be in Wisconsin, which is, you know, right across the Great Lakes from you tomorrow, giving a health lecture outside of Milwaukee. How about that? And by the way, ladies and gentlemen, you can check out that lecture schedule at fireyourmdnow.com. I'm going to be in a little bit outside of Milwaukee, Wisconsin tomorrow morning giving a health lecture. So if you're in the Milwaukee area, if you got friends or family in the Milwaukee area, check it out. You can see that schedule at fireyourmdnow.com. So, Carrie, what's up? How can I help you? Thanks for calling.
My basic question, straight to the point, is I have a very special lady in my life who has suffered from hypothyroidism from for a long time, and she's also overweight, borderline obese, and I guess to throw into that, probably related in the mix, she also has ulcerative colitis, which I'm guessing is just a gluten problem.
Yeah, bingo.
But I just wanted to get your opinion on that entire issue and to see where you go with it.
Okay, great. So I would go to drjwallach.com, drjwallach.com, and order the CD Serial Killer. That's Dr. Wallach's latest CD, and it talks all about why gluten is bad and what it does for you. So these conditions that this woman is suffering from, an underactive thyroid, being overweight, and ulcerative colitis, from our point of view, these are all arms of the same octopus. They are all have their roots in chronic nutrient deficiencies. And, you know, gluten, from our point of view, damages the intestinal villi, which are the tissues in the small intestine that absorb nutrients. So, son of a gun, when you're eating gluten, it's like kicking somebody when they're down because, number one, the food that we're eating doesn't have all the nutrients we need. And when we eat gluten, we can't absorb half of the nutrients that's in the low-nutrient food. So we're really doing a lot of damage to our bodies when we eat gluten. And in some people, this damage shows up faster than others, you know, colitis, ulcerative colitis, irritable bowel, celiac disease. From our point of view, these are all the same disease, just more and more and more tissue destruction because these poor people have a really strong sensitivity to the gluten protein, okay? So drop dead, this person has to be gluten-free yesterday. That's mandatory, number one. Number two, hypothyroid. In order for the thyroid to be healthy, it needs copper, it needs selenium, and it needs iodine. Life is good. So let's break this down. The reason that the only thing that makes people gain weight, it's got nothing to do with lack of exercise. It's got nothing to do with anything. It's not genetic. It's not the size of the stomach. The only thing that makes people gain weight is they eat too many calories. The only thing that makes people eat too many calories is their body is starved for nutrition, and it knows it. So it forces you to eat. You will never, ever win that battle. The only way you can win that battle, figuratively speaking, is to support and promote the nutrition of the body. You'll never win that battle just by sheer force of willpower or calorie counting, because Mother Nature always wins. Mother Nature will force you to eat eventually, which is why people yo-yo with weight loss. They'll lose 50 pounds, they'll gain 60. They'll lose 100, they'll gain 120. Because they can't beat Mother Nature. But what you can do is feed your body the nutrition that it needs, and when you do that, your cravings disappear. When your body is nutrified with the appropriate nutritional supplements, high-quality, bioavailable, science-based, clinically verified nutritional supplements, it's a real game changer. Because when you take the longevity stuff, man, it is the first time in your life your body has had all of the nutrients that it needs, and that's a game changer. So really, all we do is fill the tank up. After the tank's been filled up for about 21 days, then we recommend people dial in a 1,200 calorie a day diet. And when your nutritional tank is filled, a 1,200 calorie a day diet is child's play. It's easy to do. When your nutritional tank is empty, a 1,200 calorie a day diet is hard, terrible, anxiety producing, really, really hard. But it's not when your body's nutrified. So the recommendation here, in order to support and promote your girlfriend's health across the board, would be 1 healthy start pack, 1 bottle of plant-derived minerals, 2 bottles of ultimate selenium per 100 pounds of body weight per month. And again, for the extra secret sauce for her thyroid gland is 1 bottle of Ocean's Gold per 100 pounds of body weight per month. Have her do that religiously, plus the gluten-free diet for 21 days, and then have her dial in a 1,200 calorie a day diet. And once she dials in the 1,200 calorie a day diet, which she can even do after day 7 or after day 14 if she feels so inclined, she's going to start to lose 1 to 2 pounds a week. And once she does that, man, we're off to the races. Now, if she really wants to crank up the weight loss, after she's been doing that program for 2 months, for 60 days, she can do an add-on called ASAP, ASAP. And if you do a Google search for ASAPlongevity.com, you'll get information about the ASAP program. The ASAP program will really accelerate weight loss. But we don't add the ASAP Weight Loss Accelerate program into the mix here until her body's been nutrified for 2 months. Because what the ASAP does is it burns weight fast. Burning weight fast is stressful to the body. Your body has to have the nutrients necessary to handle that stress. And after 60 days on my program, the ASAP program will be like a dream come true. It will rapidly accelerate weight loss. I'm talking like a pound a day. But it's not going to hurt her. It's not going to stress her body out. Her body will be able to handle it. We kind of have to work up to that, right? If you were training for a marathon, you wouldn't just start running 26 miles every day. You work up to it. First you run a mile, and then 2, and then 3, and then 5, and then 10, right? You work up to it. Well, we work up to aggressive weight loss in the same way with this program, and when you work up to it that way, life is good, baby. And by the way, if you need... Go ahead, yeah.
I was going to say, before we run out of time, I know you're getting close, for someone like me, I'm pretty financially strapped, but my first thoughts before speaking to an expert, knowing just a tiny bit myself, was to get her on Beyond Tangy Tangerine and a bottle of the Ocean's Gold. per month. Is that a good start?
The plant-derived minerals is a better start. The Beyond Tangy Tangerine and 1 bottle of plant-derived minerals would be the best way for her to go. Plant-derived minerals are only $19. And if you're really, really strapped, just do the plant-derived minerals, because for her, that she'd get more bang for her buck from that, in my opinion. And hey, if you're financially strapped, join us for $10. And we'll show you an easy way to get your supplements for free. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dr. Peter Glidden. We're out of time. You've wasted a whole nother hour with me talking about medical nutrition. I'll look forward to seeing you.